I got a message while we were in the middle of getting ready.
Emergency crews are responding to a serious multi-vehicle collision. Now, police say a dump truck was involved in a collision with a passenger vehicle just after 10 a.m. So far, they have not confirmed the status of the people inside those vehicles or any injuries, although a tarp appears to be covering a body at the scene.
I got a video with the truck in pieces, basically all over the ground. How do I go home and tell my kids that their father isn't coming home?
Almost every truck driver has faced this, where you are left with two choices. Choice one, either run a person over. Choice two, run off the road. These are the two choices you're left with.
The only times truckers got respected was when the shelves were empty and people realized that, hey, we need these guys.
So in Canada, about 30 to 80 truck drivers lose their life in the line of duty every year.
I wasn't able to find a support system in other wives who may have lost their husbands in trucking.
There is no support system whatsoever.
Not that I know of. No one reached out to me. Our roads are dangerous. I'm worried about my kids driving someday.
So why are truck drivers in any form of trucking they do are so disconnected?
Speaking English in this country has become really difficult. You know, my thoughts about business and how it's changed in the last 10, 15 years is incredible.
So I just need 30 seconds of your time for two things. One, I want to thank everybody who watches the show and has subscribed to our channel. It does help us a lot. It's a free thing to do to subscribe or like our show, but it does help us a lot on our end. Secondly, if you have not done so far, please join the 31% of the people that come regularly to watch this show. And if you enjoy the show and you tell us that you enjoy the show, this is going to make us even do better. We do this show for the love of trucks and trucking, and we genuinely feel truckers and overall trucking industry needs a lot of attention. And we do this on our own. There is nobody involved in this show. And if you help us, we don't need anybody. And we want to thank you once again for watching and just supporting us in this journey. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Welcome to the Truck Stop Show. Today we're joined by Tina, who has never driven a truck, but she's been in trucking industry for about 20 years. So she owns a business, but she has a very interesting story. And she's paid the ultimate price pretty much in the trucking industry, that she lost her husband in a truck accident last year. So we're going to talk about Al a lot. Al is husband. We'll be talking about him a lot. So I'm quite nervous to do this show, and I'll be finding the best words and try to be, stay together at the same time, because it's not easy to do a show like this. So Tina, tell us about yourself and how long have you been associated with trucking industry?
Sure. Thanks for having me. So been in this business with Al for almost 20 years. When I first met Al, he had one truck. And then we quickly, started to look at other options and all of that. And I took care of all the background, and he took care of driving and making sure the trucks were running, making sure our drivers were okay and taken care of. And yeah, he did all the the front of it. And I took care of the back and the family, the kids, and
how many kids do you have?
We have 3. So they're all,
So Tina, tell us what happened. So you own a small trucking company, right?
Yes.
And you guys are in what kind of business is it?
So we have dump trucks, TAG Construction Services. We currently have 4 dump trucks.
And it's you and your husband had this company together.
Yes, this was ours.
You basically built it together,
we
right?
We did, yes.
Now, Tina, tell us what happened last year in June.
So on June 25th, 2025, it was our middle daughter's 8th grade graduation. As we were getting ready, I did speak to Al that morning, and he, was working as usual stuff, left the house, drive safe. Nothing was any different, right? Went to work, and I spoke to him last around 9:30 that morning. And then took care of my daughter, got her organized and ready and all of that stuff. And then I got a message while we were in the middle of getting ready. I was sent a video that was already on social media at this point. Must have been around, I don't know, 11:30, 12 o'clock maybe. The accident happened at 10 a.m. And I got a video with the truck in pieces, basically all over the ground. I don't know if you saw, but it is still, you know, on social media, of course. The engine was down that way, and, you know, it was a mess. So I was like, wow, like, to be quite honest, that morning when I saw that, my initial reaction was really like, oh my God, one of the guys had an accident. Never in a million years did I think it was Al until I looked through our GPS system and I opened that video and saw where the location was. And then I was able to make the connection.
So who sent you that message?
It was another trucking company.
So knew this person, obviously. They had your number?
I knew of them. Yeah. It was sent to me through Instagram. So it had already been posted. So now I'm worried about the fact that it's on social media and my children are on social media. And what is going on? So I did start calling him to see if he would answer. I called our drivers to make sure that they were okay and to explain to them what had happened. But I didn't know the extent. I just, you know, I think in my heart of hearts, I was hoping that, you know, he got hurt, right? Although I could see the truck in pieces, I didn't know the extent of what had really occurred. So from there, I ended up dropping off my daughter and I basically went to the location. The road was already closed. Lots of police, lots of traffic. And the officer was like, I'm not really sure what's going on. I said, well, you know, like, I'm like, is he okay? And he's like, I'm not sure. I said, well, can you call someone that, you know, may know if he's okay? And they did. They called the constable, who seemed to take forever to come to see me. And then in the meantime, all of this social media was going around. It had already been, you know, reshared a million times probably. And I'm getting all of these phone calls of friends who are not sure that I know what happened. So the constable comes and says, you know, listen, are you sure that was Al driving the truck today? And I said, absolutely. That was his unit. Like, I know it's him. I'm the only one who can, you know. I was also looking for not the worst outcome. So he says, you know, we're not really sure. We're still waiting for the fire trucks. And I'm like, fire trucks? I said, well, can I go see him? And he said, no, not yet. He says, you can't go see him. I said, okay. So I waited what seemed like forever. It was hours. And then I did finally see a fire truck go by and a younger gentleman running. Fire truck went by. They had to extricate him from the truck. And the young man running happened to be the coroner. So, yeah, they came back to tell me, you know, that he had passed and that basically it was just, obviously it wasn't his fault. He was coming down, you know, that road fully loaded when a car came out in front of him. And he ended up hitting a tractor trailer on the opposite side of the road, and it did kill him instantly. I mean, from what I'm hearing, from what the police told me, he saved lives that morning. It could have been, I mean, although it was the end of the world for me and my family, it could have been more catastrophic than what it was. So here we are. Now I'm trying to avoid social media for my kids and saying, how do I do this? Like, what do I do? How do I go home and tell my kids that their father isn't coming home? And that's probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life.
How old are the kids?
The kids are 12, 14, and my stepdaughter is 25. They were all together. I do know that the officer had already called OPP to come and ring the doorbell. And for some, I don't even know if it was luck, but they didn't end up ringing because I got there before he called them
You didn't
off.
want the police officer to get home before you and
No.
tell the kids.
No. So he managed to call them off before when he saw me right at the site. I was unable to see him, unfortunately. They wouldn't allow me to see him just based on what had happened and, the conditions. But, by this time, I had like some of his very good friends that came. They drove me home, obviously, because I couldn't drive home. Drove me home, and we went on with graduation because I think I was in shock. I had told family, like while I was waiting, I did call his family and I called my family. And they drove me home, got home. We, hey, listen, guys, Dad's might not make it. He's working, which was normal because he worked so much. He was a family man, but his work, he just lived and breathed, trucking. And it was just, so they knew that sometimes it happened, right? Dad wouldn't be there. So I said, let's just get ready and go. And that's what we did. We made it through graduation. And then we went home. And telling my kids that their father wasn't coming home, I don't think I've ever had to do anything harder than that. It was the most difficult moment. So, and, like we had to tell his family, and it was really hard. In hindsight, though, I wouldn't have changed in terms of, a lot of people were like, how did you go ahead with the graduation? How did you see? And I said, I did what I felt was important for my daughter. And I know that Al would have done the exact same thing.
How old was Al at the time?
56. So he still had a whole lifetime. We had so many plans, right? So, So here we are, almost a year later. I'm not really sure how we got here, though. It feels like a blur most days. We have a lot of good people in our lives. I will say that we are blessed with a wonderful community. His friends, they've been fantastic. They check in on us. They check in on the girls. And, we have fantastic customers as well who have been super supportive. And anyone who knew Al, truly knew Al, loved him. He was really the glue that kept it all together, kept everyone together. He was the guy you would call when you heard a sound on your truck and you weren't sure where it was coming from. Hey, Al, truck's doing this. And Al was like, yeah, you need to get under and check this. He was that guy.
Mm-hmm.
So he is missed by not only us at home tremendously, he is missed by many, many people.
How long had he done it for?
Probably over 25 years, close to 30.
Mm-hmm. And he was an AZ driver?
He was.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He was very in dump truck business.
Yes, he was a very cautious driver. He's been in the dump truck business that long. Mm-hmm.
So he had done this work for many years, Tina. Do we know exactly what happened in that moment? So when you say somebody jumps in front of you, so a lot of average common drivers, they do not understand when you jump in front of a car what could happen. So it has almost every truck driver has faced this, where you are left with two choices. Choice one, either run a person over. Choice two, run off the road or something. So these are the two choices you're left with. And sometimes these decisions are not easy to make, right? So you either choose to get off the road, and then there's going to be consequences for that. And of course, you're always trying to save lives, right? As a truck driver,
Right.
Because you don't have to just watch your driving; you have to watch other people's driving too.
Yes, that's the most difficult part.
Right, and it's not easy. It's like, and how many people know this? Everybody just hates trucks on the road because they're slow and they're big and all that, right? But nobody knows what is going through this person's head who's operating such a large vehicle.
Right.
And when it's loaded, the challenge is probably 100 times more, So you can't stop in a dime. You can't do any of that stuff. So you don't have a whole bunch of control over a whole bunch of things, right?
Right.
So what do we know? What do you know so far? What happened in that moment?
I do know that the vehicle that did hit the truck was a car, and that he just didn't stop.
Then he had to go on the other side of the road, I guess?
He was trying to go straight, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
But he took out Al's front passenger tire, which is how he lost steering. And
he lost the steering. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and then he just...
It happened. He probably had about, 5 seconds from the time the car hit the tire to hitting the truck.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't have much time to think. Of course, tried to save, by Noel, he would have tried saving everybody, and unfortunately lost his own life that day.
So Tina, do you know what job he was doing that day?
Yeah, he was just, he was with one of our customers. They dig pools, or he was hauling for them.
Mm-hmm.
So he wasn't too
poles, electricity poles, or?
No, pools.
Pools.
They were digging pools. Yes, exactly.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So now this is, and I stand very strongly on this. All these trucks you see around you, they're doing something. They're basically building this country, feeding people.
Yes.
They are building houses. They are delivering equipment to hospitals. They're doing something, like whether you like them or not. They are doing something for the community, something for this country, something for the betterment of people.
Yes.
So, for example, that pool that he was, hauling out of, it was being built for a family, probably, or a community, or somebody, right? So he basically, like in a lot of these big projects we see around us, they've, they didn't just come. They were built by some people, and a lot of efforts were put into this. And truck drivers, in my opinion, and I stand very strongly on this, are most ignored, right? So, an engineer that designed that place probably has a name. People who worked on it, the construction people, they probably have some sort of, name, a company name, or maybe a stamp on a wall or something like this, right? People who planned that housing or the development have some sort of name or saying in there. Where do truck drivers stand for? Where is their name? It's a very big question that asks this society. Where is their name? Where are they? Who are they? Are they just these bad people on the road causing trouble for people?
Pretty much.
Disturbing traffic, slowing people down and in everybody's way, are these just, they're not there to, yes, of course, they're there to make money. Of course, everybody's doing everything to make money, right? So, but at the same time, there's a community angle to this. There's a society angle to this. There's a service angle to this. And there's a development angle to this that these people are doing to make our world a better place, a more comfortable place, right? So Tina, how do you know where that pool was being built?
I'm not sure. I know it was in the area. It wasn't too far away from where the accident happened.
And where was he taking that load?
I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm not sure. But, a lot of things were said after the accident, et cetera. I'm not going to get into that. But, no one really knew what was going on, what had happened. And, but I find that it just becomes, I think social media has become, unfortunately, that evil And when I showed the police officer that that's how I found out, he was like, this is what makes our job so much harder, right? So I think that there's not enough faith in like even during COVID, if you remember, like the only times truckers got respected was when the shelves were empty and people realized that, hey, we need these guys, right? And all those people that were putting in pools, drivers were there working, and all of that stuff. So I think, I don't know, I think it just, they kind of get lost in the hustle and bustle of, they're just sitting there in the middle of the road and they're causing, stuff is coming out of their truck, or they're causing accidents all over the place. And yes, there are situations where a lot of accidents have been caused, probably from inexperienced drivers, but they're not all the same, right? My husband was an experienced driver, and he was so cautious, even when we were driving the car, or when I was driving. So I think, I don't know, I think they all get put in that same little, boat. And
so, Tina, when Al passed away, so I hope nobody has to go through this, but what you went through, it's not easy, and it's not, like you can't even imagine, what you went through. So what happens? Like, so you got told, right? Of course, there's a funeral and everything.
Right.
Was there any sort of support system out there for, let's say, being the wife of a truck driver who gave his life in the line of duty? What kind of services or support system you got?
I got support from the family. I was supported from his friends, colleagues, our customers, but there's really no support. I wasn't able to find a support system in other wives who may have lost their husbands in trucking. I believe in the US there might be, but I did some research and I wasn't able to find anything. Yes, they had victims unit, of course, that contacted us.
But that's for everybody, right?
Yeah.
It's not truck specific.
No, that's everybody.
Yeah.
So they contacted us, but they contacted me once and were supposed to call me back and then didn't. So, we kind of been, getting through it with help from others, right?
So in Canada, about 30 to 80 truck drivers lose their life in the line of duty every year. And you're telling me that even within the trucking, associations or, any trucking groups or any of that, there is no support system whatsoever?
Not that I know of. No one reached out to me. No one reached out to me to say, hey, there's a support group. So I've kind of had to find my own support group, through therapy, et cetera. And for my children, at least, my priority is them. And if I can't function, they can't function. And so I need to make sure that I'm okay for them. And so I do my research, but no one said, hey, there's, not that I know of anyways. And I know that there's a trucking association, but I don't believe they have a support system.
So sadly, what am I hearing from Tina is, so in the country of Canada, where trucking is a massive thing.
Yes.
Because we do import and export a lot of stuff, and we have the largest ground trade in the world.
Right.
With the US, right?
Right.
And trucks are everywhere. This infrastructure is for trucks, right? Economy runs with trucks. And there's a whole bunch of, every corner, we have this trucking association and that trucking association. And then we have the government, the ministries, right?
Right.
That govern and regulate these trucks and whatnot. Yes, there's it's a big industry, right? A lot of money involved, a lot of big companies, a lot of big people benefiting from it.
Right.
There's not a single association, sadly, if you, as a truck driver, lose your life in the line of duty on the road. It's in the last show we were talking about how truck drivers do a prayer. A lot truck drivers are very religious for the most part. Because they do the prayer, because they don't know what's going to happen when they go down or up a couple miles. They do not know what's going to happen.
No.
So, and we did talk about how even at truck stops, like there's always a prayer going on if you put the CB radio on and whatnot.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The point is, they have a sense that anything can happen any second to them.
Right.
And I'm sure their families, they sacrifice a lot too. We've done a show with the wife of a truck driver who, we talked about what kind of struggles they had to go through,
Right.
raising kids and being with the family. And it just breaks my heart saying that there is not a single support system for a truck driver who loses his or her life for the family remaining, right?
Yep. We're pretty much
This is pretty sad.
It is sad when someone gives their life. I mean, it wasn't, his intention, but yeah, like when you get in those trucks, you never know what's going to happen. I've been with him driving while he was, I'd go to work with him before we had the kids so many times. And I'll tell you, I have seen things that I don't understand why, people actually think that truck is going to stop on a dime. I'm not really sure where they get this information. Honking at the truck driver who probably can't even see them, never mind hear them. Yeah, like it's just crazy. And I'll tell you, after this accident, I think many people have changed the way they look at, things, their life, anything can happen at any point in time.
But that's probably the people who knew Al.
Yes.
But people who haven't,
right,
faced something like this or heard of something like this, they probably still think, you can still cut a truck off or, you can do a bunch of stuff to them, right?
They do.
Yeah.
They do. I will tell you that I saw some posts after he passed. People were saying that, another truck driver, right?
Like after the accident.
Yes.
So there's blame on the truck driver?
Yep.
This is such an easy thing to do. When you see an accident and the truck parked in the accident there, to just come up with a preconceived notion that, it's probably the truck driver who did this because they're dirty, bad people out there trying to kill everybody, and then,
I'm not sure, why, but I don't know. I think it's become, quite frankly, I think it's pretty easy to get a license these days. I don't think it's the same process as it was 30 years ago, right? So I think that is probably where a lot of that is coming from.
So people who, like with the new process, so newer drivers.
Right.
So you think because they are not behaving on the road,
yes,
so truck drivers get a bad reputation?
Absolutely.
I totally stand with this.
Absolutely.
I think if you are a truck driver, you are expected to meet certain professionalism. And if you are not, you're not just harming your own self or your own repute, you're harming the community, the trucking community overall. And like every truck is looked upon as a bad truck driver who's just out there to kill us, basically.
Pretty much. There are truck drivers who are drinking while they're driving. There are truck drivers that cause accidents that should not, have been caused. You can see on any social media site, people have video cameras in their cars, and they can trucks just turn left without paying attention that there's a car next to them and thinking, well, if I turn left, that car is not going to come and try to get in front of me, so I have the right of way, but you don't. So I'm not sure where everybody's getting their truck license, but I think there needs to be some kind of regulation.
Absolutely.
Which is a big problem.
I agree.
Right?
So in terms of car drivers, this is pretty obvious. They don't have enough education.
Right.
To know what happens with trucks and how they operate safely, coexist on the road with them, right? So people do strange things with trucks and, they do cut them off, brake check them. I've seen people brake check trucks.
Yeah.
Without knowing that they can't stop. And one time that brake check is not going to go so well, right? So what do you think, what kind of education needs to be done for these four-wheelers?
I think like regular cars, I think there needs to be some kind of, I know that there was something being done in Bolton. I believe they had some kind of teaching method. I can't remember what it's called, but I think new drivers have to learn properly. They have to learn what happens if, you know, a small little turn could, devastate a family.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is not what we had planned that morning. Definitely not. And that not stopping has destroyed a family, right? So I think there has to be some kind of regulation when they're teaching. It can't just be get in the car and, drive and it's okay. I have a foot brake on my side. I'll help, right? You have to and I don't hate saying it, but I find that speaking English in this country has become really difficult. And if you're not learning properly the signs, the road signs, the instructions, how to be safe, and even the ones who are driving really slow, they're not any safer than...
It's against the law to impede.
Right. Yeah. So, it's a lot. It's a lot. And so there has to be some kind of regulation, whether it's at the driving schools level, I'm not sure. But the government needs to start getting involved. Our roads are dangerous. I'm worried about my kids driving someday. Right? I am. I'm much more worried than I was probably before the accident. Yeah. So I think that we need to find a way to keep our kids safe, keep our streets safe. We live on a busy street and people drive like it's a racetrack. It's absolutely out of control and the town does nothing because what are they going to do? That's what they tell me. What can we do? How can we stop them? I don't know. Figure it out. So until someone is hurt or killed, you won't do a thing, right? So, yeah.
What do you think? What kind of support system should be out there for a truck driver who loses his life in an accident, just the way Al did? What would you wish was out there?
I think probably a community of people who have gone through the same thing is important. So from what I've learned over the last, 9 months is that no one really knows what I'm going through unless they've been through it. In many ways, the only, as much as everyone tries to, check in, and I really am really blessed that they do and they still call, etc. But until a widow reaches out to me, there's a different communication. There's a different understanding when that happens. And there's just, I don't know. I don't like the word widow. I will tell you that.
I actually avoided this word.
Yeah. I hate that word.
I avoided this word.
I really do. But yeah, it's a club that no one wants to be part of. And when you are, you're kind of you're out in left field. So you look for people who have gone through the same thing as you, maybe not the same accident or, right? A death is a death. So I think there has to be a way for the communities to kind of cultivate this, I don't want to say sisterhood, because there are men who also lose their wives who are driving. So, there has to be some kind of way for the community to get together and create something.
Have you thought about forming something like this?
I have been thinking about it. It's just, I have so much on my plate these days, but it is something that I'm, talking to a few other women about. And, I'll definitely let you know.
For sure.
I think it's important. I think our kids suffer, we suffer, and we try not to suffer because we have children. We built this company together for our kids. Ultimately, that is the ultimate goal. We wanted to, he was going to slow down at some point and enjoy life and, travel and do whatever we wanted to do. The kids were getting older and now it's just, not that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think we need to find a way to find some kind of solution, some kind of support that is not based only on like is not. I don't even know. Like there are support systems. You can go to grieving.
But that's for
But that's very different.
yeah.
But when it's women who have gone through this kind of an accident, he's here in the morning and all of a sudden that's it. That's it. Like there's no, I can't tell you how many times I still wait for him to walk through that door. So it has affected our lives in ways that I can't even explain.
How are your kids keeping up with this?
So they're okay. They're kids. They're busy with school, right? And their friends and their extracurriculars. We try to keep them, but there are events, important events coming, and we are now going to have to celebrate without him, and that is probably the hardest thing to think of, right?
Why does government look at, so if a truck driver loses his or her life, like from the government, why is this looked upon any other death? Why do they not realize this person was doing a job, an important job? Is there like no such thing in the circles of government or even the ministries that govern or rule trucking? There's nothing like that, like at all. Like they don't even. It's just there's a death on the street. There's a death on the street. Like there's an accident. So the truck driver is there. He or she is doing a job.
Yes, I agree. But I have not been able to find something if there is. I have, had to contact the town where the accident happened and ask them to, what are we going to do about this road? Like this, there have been many accidents within, on that road and just further up or further the other side. And they come back and say, well, if it's within budget, we're going to put, flashing lights. Okay. My husband lost his life that morning, and nothing that he did and nothing that the city did either. But like, that there are trucks coming down that winding road, which is often a blind spot. And I have seen our cameras basically. So I saw what Al saw that morning.
So you've seen the accident?
I saw the accident from our truck,
from the camera truck.
From our camera.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. And I'm not really sure how that all happened.
Was he verbal when it happened?
Was he? No, it's not verbal.
Yeah.
It's not a verbal camera. But it happened so quickly. It happened so fast.
Did Al ever talk about road safety to you?
Always. We always talked about road safety.
Was he concerned?
Yeah, absolutely. That was probably one of the biggest concerns.
What kind of concerns you talked about?
You know what? We would talk about how, like if he was ever driving his pickup when we were going out with the kids and stuff, he would always comment on, look at that guy. Look at the way he's driving. Look how close he is to the other car. That car's never going to see him. Like we would tell the kids, you got to pay attention when you start driving and all of that. And, and quite frankly, I knew that they'd be in good hands learning from Al. And now, but with that said, I think he would always he would send me pictures of stuff that he saw on the road during the day, trucks toppled over. He was always very vocal on, new drivers that were coming into this business and were so busy running, basically, instead of safety.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens all the time. They're so busy running for that almighty dollar that safety is really not their concern. At least that's what it looks like from the other side.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of, I think Ministry of Transport needs to also step up a little bit and figure out, what we're doing with drivers. Our trucks are governed, right? They don't go over 105.
All are supposed to. It's a law. It's a law in Ontario and Quebec.
they are not all governed.
Yeah.
Ours are, and our drivers don't even get close to that. They know safety first. We want them to get home safe to their families. They have families, right? So what is the big rush? You're working by the hour. Why are you rushing?
Mhm.
But unfortunately, it's a lot more deep than that, right? You know, for some, every hour counts, I guess. I don't know. My thoughts about this business and how it's changed in the last 10, 15 years is incredible.
Mhm. What are your thoughts about this business? You think it's still a good business?
It is a good business if you know how to run a business. Unfortunately, we find ourselves, with very high insurance rates, very high diesel rates, right? Of course, everyone's increased their rates. Mechanics are not as, are obviously more expensive than they used to be. So, yeah, it's just,
But truck rates haven't gone up.
Truck rates have not gone up. And
why is that? So why are truck drivers in any form of trucking they do are so disconnected? Why can't they just get together? Why can't they just so I know there's a lot of hate on social media I see, and that's mainly because I come from certain skin color and you come from certain skin color, and we can't work together. I hate you and you hate me. It's like
right.
And then it's just nasty out on the social media, and I know that. But I mean, sure, if there's a bad apple, call it out. But then why can't you all just get together? I mean, to say you mean like all trucking, partners. Why? I know there's a whole bunch of associations and there's a whole bunch of truck shows and this and like a whole bunch of stuff. Why can't they all get together for one agenda? So like even the rates, for example, why can't they set a standard? Like is it sometimes I feel it's systematic. There's a force that don't want them to get together. So because they're so powerful in
100%.
what they do. And then they're just like, stay disconnected and we'll do things our way.
Exactly. Which is a huge problem. A huge problem. We've always, Al and I have always called it out when, it's someone specific or they don't like it. But that's the thing is that communities, instead of getting together, they basically go behind each other's back. So when they finally get the rate, for example, they get the rate which was, let's say, 10 years ago, they get a decent rate. Someone will go back and say, yeah, I can do it for cheaper. What's the customer supposed to do? He's going to say, okay, right? Yeah. He's looking at his bottom line.
Of course.
You can't blame him.
That's business.
Right. That's
Consumer
business.
is always looking for a cheaper price.
Exactly. So then now they're going behind each other's back after they were committed to doing this together. So the rest of us, and I say the rest of us only because we know like the community that tends to cut rates. And it's really sad. It's really sad because they're leaving a lot of money on the table. And
they're making it hard for everybody.
They're making it hard for everyone. Yeah, it's great. They're out to work. They're working every day. They're working whatever hours a day. And I mean, at the rate that they're working for, they can't be bringing.
Have you ever tried to approach a company that was just doing stuff like this?
I have. I've spoken to many of them.
You have? Okay. So what's the response?
To many of them. They got to work.
We don't care?
Pretty much. That's
we won the
bid,
like, basically?
Pretty much. Without saying we don't care, we got to work. We got to run. And okay, well, you do that. I won't put the key in the ignition for that.
Yeah.
Right? I have been actually in the last few weeks, I was contacted by a few of them asking if we wanted to join forces with them.
What is forces?
So basically, I would dispatch for them and they would work at the rate that we are making because they're my customers. So I did ask what rate they were working for currently, and they were working for at least $30 less than we are. And I said, but why are you working at that rate? Well, we got to get out there and work and whatever. And I'm like, well, you ain't riding my coattail. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We built this business. I'm not just going to let it, I have drivers who have families who, need to get paid every week. And But yeah, like there's work out there. It's just if you're going in for a cheaper rate, yeah, you're getting the work, but my gosh, you're leaving like so much on there, right? You're doing a disservice to yourself as well, right?
Yeah.
But it is what it is, I guess. That I
Well,
don't
when the
think
rates
that's
go down, the maintenance goes down, the pay for the drivers goes down, the profit goes down. Whole bunch of things go down, and it's a very risky thing to do in many ways.
It is, but I'm not really sure why they don't understand that. I'm not sure if, I don't know what they're paying their drivers, right? So if you pay your drivers cheap, you can work for cheap. I don't think that makes sense.
But I mean, that's unfair with the driver.
Right. I think so too. And I also know that I believe there are organizations or some kind of things that people can like bring people over to work. So they pay them cheap.
Yeah. Like from overseas, you mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, it does suck.
It does
I totally
because
agree.
that's not, they come here for a better life and they come here so that they can either send money home or whatever. And yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, it's like there should be some sort of sense of, like, what's the word here? Like understanding that we can't go beyond this.
And responsibility.
Like responsibility or set mark.
Yes.
And then like if all the companies, it's not that easy, I know, but I mean, if they get together and, so make your companies better, maintain the safety standards and, pay your drivers well. And at the same time, take big profits home, right?
Of course. Exactly.
I think not many people think this way. So Tina, what would you want people to understand about risks truck drivers face?
I think everyone needs to understand that you need to be educated when you're driving a truck, for example. You need to take the right steps. It's not just getting a license from whomever or paying for a license, from what I hear happens. And from those who are driving cars, I really think that they need to step it up a little bit. Our teenagers driving cars, they're trying to get to wherever and showing off or whatever the case may be. Oh my gosh, like there are so many accidents that happen because drivers are not responsible in both trucking and, vehicles.
You know how doctors have an oath before they get into the profession? I think truck drivers should have an oath too. The day you get your license, you should commit to yourself that you're going to always try to save people on the road and try to bring safety to your job every day.
Yes.
There should be some sort of oath like that because, I remember this one new truck driver, I was talking to him and I asked him about how he feels being on the road. And he said to me, the one day he was driving and he was able to look in a minivan in front of him and I saw a little family in there with 2 kids and mom and dad and all happy and joyful and all that. And he said, I thought to myself, if I do something silly, I can literally harm that family.
Right.
And he said, then I convinced myself, as long as I drive a truck, I will always try to be safe and practice safety every day. But I think with this story, it's kind of like an oath, right?
Right.
So if you can, sort of, say to yourself every day before you leave that I'm going to try to practice safety. You can't always, I know there's a lot of problems on the road in terms of traffic and uneducated people.
Right. And things happen.
And things happen. And, like there's always something going on roads, especially if you're in the GTA area.
Right.
It's the busiest corridor, right?
Right.
And a lot of things can happen. But your commitment and your attitude can contribute a lot to safety, I think.
Yes. Al was one to always leave the house knowing that he was coming back. Right? And that day was not any different until it was. So
how did he manage to run company after him? It's a tough one to answer, I know.
It is. You know what? I have a lot of support. A lot of his colleagues. Al used to not only run, the business, he would also dispatch a lot of brokers. And so I just I had some help at the beginning, and then I kind of said, you know what? I'm either in it or I'm not. And I just picked it up and let's see what happens, right? But I do have a lot of.
Did you process about quitting, like stopping it?
No,
You
never.
did not? Right.
Never. We had an ongoing joke that I would always, whoever went first, the other one would still continue to run the business,
Mhm.
right? This was and I'd be like, nah, I'm going to run this business till it just, we can retire, right? And we built it for our kids, and that's what's going to continue to happen. I won't allow anything different.
This is the biggest sacrifice anybody can make, losing a loved one, right?
Right.
And in the line of duty. How do you want society to see this? How do you want society to process this? That, what did you lose for the sake of trucking in a way? How do you want society to see this?
So Al died doing what he loved most. He loved those trucks. He took care of them. He was like, making sure that they were always clean. And I think I just want people to realize that anything can happen and that you really need to live life. You need to make time. I think you just need to make time for the things that seem so senseless sometimes. Little things that seem so senseless. My kids will never have their father at graduation or when they get married. That's a hard one.
Mhm.
So for now, we kind of just live moment by moment.
Mhm.
And
what about to the people that do not understand what truck drivers do and how important they are, and what kind of risks they take day-to-day basis? What would you say to them?
Honestly, I wish they could go out with a truck driver. Just sit in the passenger seat and kind of drive with them all day and see what they go through and how mentally exhausting it is when you're on a road like, the DVP or right anywhere downtown. Not many truck drivers like going downtown because it's so tight. And I think people just need to, honestly, I think people need to sit in that seat. I don't think there's any better way.
Yeah.
I didn't know until I sat in that seat for the first time. And, but I think that's important. I think it needs to be introduced in lessons, and there needs to be some kind of regulation. The government needs to step in and say, we need to figure this out. There are too many people losing their lives, both, trucking companies and families. There are families, entire families. That's,
I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you for, it wasn't an easy show to do, by the way. So, but I hope it rings some bells and people do understand that it is not an easy job. And there's a lot of people that are paying their ultimate price to do this job and, make those projects happen. Thank you for watching the show, and please subscribe if you enjoy the show, and do write to us and give us some ideas which sort of topics we should touch upon. See you guys next Sunday. If you are one of those truck drivers who is willing to say what they feel and see on the road or anywhere in the trade, please do contact us at info@thetruckstopshow.ca. Write us your phone number and we'll get in touch and bring you on the show.